upbeat, playful music starts. Hey there, fellow cat parents and professional feline servants. Welcome back to the channel where we try to understand the beautiful, chaotic, furry little aliens living in our homes. Let's paint a picture. It's 5 a.m. You hear it? The sound, the mournful, world-ending meow of a cat who is 100% sure they have never been fed in their entire life. You stumble out of bed, pour some of that crunchy stuff into their bowl, and what do you get? A sniff, a look of pure, unadulterated disgust, and a swift tail flick as they walk away. Or maybe you open a can of the good stuff, the fancy pâté, and they just lick the jelly off and leave the rest. Sound familiar? You start to wonder, am I doing this wrong? Is my cat broken? Is this crunchy food a deadly mistake? Or is the wet food just a scam? Well, get ready, because today we are diving headfirst into the single most debated topic in the cat world, the epic showdown between dry food and wet food. And I promise, by the end of this, you'll know the truth. First, hit that comments section and tell me the name of your tiny demanding food critic. Okay, before we put on our referee outfits for the big food fight, let's take a quick trip in our time machine. No, not back to yesterday when your cat knocked your favourite mug off the counter. Further back, like 10,000 years ago, to the deserts of the Middle East. This is where your cat's ancestor, the African wildcat, roamed. This creature was a lean, mean, hunting machine. It didn't have a bowl of crunchy fish-shaped morsels waiting for it. Its diet consisted of mice, lizards, birds, basically small, water-rich critters. Their bodies evolved perfectly for this. They are obligate carnivores, which is a fancy way of saying they must eat meat to survive. And more importantly, they evolved to get most of their water from their food. They have a naturally low thirst drive. A cat in the wild isn't going to stop chasing a mouse to go find a water fountain. So keep that image in your head. Your fluffy, napping loaf of bread is basically a tiny desert predator in a very, very convincing disguise. This one simple fact is the key to understanding everything in the great food debate. All right, let's start with the reigning champion in many households, the king of convenience, dry food. In this corner, weighing in at an economical price point, we have Team Kibble. Let's be honest, the biggest advantage here is for us, the humans. It's just so easy. You scoop, you pour, and you're done. There's no smelly can to deal with, no fork to mash it up, no half-used portion to wrap up and stick in the fridge, only to forget about it until it evolves into a new life form. You can leave it out for hours without it turning into a science experiment, which is great for cats who are grazers or snackers, as I like to call my little gourmand. And the sound of them happily crunching away can be so satisfying, right? It feels like they're enjoying it, like they're eating little cat potato chips. This convenience factor is a huge, massive reason why dry food dominates the shelves. It fits perfectly into our busy human lives. It's the fast food of the cat world, and sometimes fast food is exactly what the schedule calls for. But is convenience worth the potential cost to their health? That's the million-dollar question we're about to tackle. Let's talk about the second big win for Team Kibble, the price tag. Your wallet definitely prefers dry food, and in a world where a single vet visit can cost more than your last vacation, that's a pretty big deal. When you're standing in the pet food aisle, looking at a giant 15-pound bag of kibble that will last for months, sitting right next to a tiny, single-serving can of wet food that costs $3. The math is pretty simple. High-quality nutrition for our pets is important, but so is paying our rent. Dry food makes it possible for many people to provide for their pets without having to take out a second mortgage. It has a long shelf life. You can buy it in bulk to save even more money, and there's very little waste. You pour what you need, and the rest stays fresh in the bag for weeks. For multi-cat households, the cost savings are even more dramatic. Trying to feed 3 or 4 cats an exclusively wet food diet can feel like you're funding a small, very furry army. So from a purely practical financial standpoint, Dry food is the clear winner. It's accessible, affordable, and allows people from all economic backgrounds to be loving pet owners. But as we all know, the cheapest option isn't always the best one. Now for the first big myth we need to bust. Let's talk about teeth. For decades, we've been told a major benefit of dry food is that it cleans your cat's teeth. The idea is that the hard, crunchy texture scrapes away plaque and tartar as they chew, kind of like a natural toothbrush. It sounds plausible, right? Unfortunately, for the most part, it's just not true. Think about it this way. Do you clean your teeth by eating crackers or pretzels? Of course not. Most cats don't even chew their kibble properly. They often swallow it whole or just crack it once before it goes down. The pieces are too small and brittle to provide any real abrasive action. For the ones that do chew, the kibble shatters on impact at the tip of the tooth, not down by the gum line, where plaque and tartar actually cause problems like gingivitis. It's like trying to clean your floor by just tapping a broom on it. While some very specialised dental diet kibbles are designed to be larger and not shatter as easily, your standard, everyday kibble is doing next to nothing for your cat's dental hygiene. The best way to keep those pearly whites clean is regular brushing or professional cleanings. Don't fall for the clean teeth marketing ploy. Okay, let's get to the single biggest, most important argument against a diet of exclusively dry food. And it all goes back to that little desert hunter we talked about. The issue is water, or rather, the severe lack of it. Most dry foods contain only about 10% moisture. A mouse, on the other hand, is about 70% water. That is a massive difference. Remember, cats have a very low thirst drive. They are not naturally inclined to go drink a bunch of water from a bowl to make up for the dryness of their food. They expect their food to hydrate them. So when a cat eats only dry food, it exists in a state of chronic, low-level dehydration. Even if you see them drinking from their water bowl, studies have shown that cats on a dry food diet consume, in total, about half the amount of water as a cat on a wet food diet. Let me repeat that, half the water. Imagine how you would feel if you cut your water intake in half every single day. You'd be sluggish, your head would hurt, and your body would not be functioning optimally. The same goes for your cat. This chronic dehydration puts immense constant stress on their entire system, especially their kidneys and bladder. So, what are the actual consequences of this chronic dehydration we just talked about? Well, this is where things get serious, and it's a major point for Team Wet Food. The constant strain on the kidneys from being dehydrated is a leading contributor to one of the most common and heartbreaking diseases in older cats, chronic kidney disease, or CKD. Their little kidneys are just working overtime, day after day, year after year, to concentrate urine and conserve water, and eventually, they just wear out. It's a devastating diagnosis for any cat parent. Furthermore, the highly concentrated urine caused by a lack of water can lead to the formation of painful crystals and stones in the bladder. This can cause urinary tract infections, blockages, and conditions like feline lower urinary tract disease, or FLUTD. If you've ever had a male cat with a urinary blockage, you know it is a terrifying, life-threatening medical emergency. Providing a moisture-rich diet is one of the single most effective ways to promote good urinary health and flush out these potential problems before they can form. It's not about demonizing dry food, but about understanding this fundamental biological mismatch. Let's move on to the next big topic for Team Kibble, the ingredients list, specifically the carbohydrates. Remember, your cat is an obligate carnivore. Their body is designed to run on a high protein, moderate fat, and very low carbohydrate diet. But here's the secret about dry food. You can't make it without a significant amount of starch. It's what's needed to form the kibble dough and hold those little shapes together during the cooking process. So many dry foods are packed with carbohydrates from sources like corn, wheat, rice, and potatoes. These are ingredients your little desert hunter would never naturally eat. While cats can digest some carbs, their bodies are not equipped to handle the high levels found in many commercial kibbles. This carb overload can lead to a whole host of problems. It can spike their blood sugar, which is a major risk factor for developing feline diabetes. It also provides a lot of calories that their bodies can't efficiently use for energy, which leads us directly to our next point, the pudge. This brings us to the free-feeding trap, a problem made incredibly easy by dry food. Because kibble doesn't spoil quickly, it's tempting to just fill the bowl in the morning and let your cat graze all day. It's the all-you-can-eat buffet for cats, but this is a recipe for disaster for many felines. In the wild, a cat would have to hunt for its food. It would eat several small meals throughout the day, separated by periods of activity. The free-feeding model completely removes this natural cycle of hunt, eat, rest. Instead, it becomes eat, sleep, wake up, eat some more out of boredom, go back to sleep. When you combine this sedentary lifestyle with a food that is high in calories and carbohydrates, you get a one-way ticket to Chunky Town. Feline obesity is a massive problem, and it's not just a cosmetic issue. Just like in humans, being overweight puts cats at a much higher risk for serious health issues like diabetes, arthritis, heart problems, and a decreased lifespan. The convenience of free-feeding kibble often comes at the very high price of your cat's long-term health and mobility. Let's take a closer look at that ingredients list again. We've talked about the carbs, but what about the protein? You see chicken flavour or tuna recipe on the bag, and you think, great, meat. But it's not always that simple. To keep costs down, many lower quality dry foods use a lot of plant-based proteins, like corn gluten meal or soy protein isolate. While these bump up the overall protein percentage on the label, they are not the high-quality, animal-based proteins that a cat's body is designed to use. Cats are not little vegans. They require specific amino acids, like taurine, that are only found in animal tissue. Furthermore, you'll often see terms like meat and bone meal or poultry byproduct meal. These can be a bit of a mystery meat situation. Byproducts can include things like organs, which are nutritious, but they can also include less desirable parts. The rendering process used to create these meals involves high heat, which can destroy some of the vital nutrients. It's just a less direct, more processed way of getting protein into your cat, and it's a world away from the fresh kill their ancestors would have eaten. Here's a weird paradox. Even though dry food can be less biologically appropriate, some cats become absolute kibble junkies. They'll refuse anything else, turning their nose up at even the most expensive, gourmet, wet food you offer. Why does this happen? Well, during the manufacturing process, a substance called animal digest is often sprayed onto the outside of the kibble. This is a super concentrated, intensely flavorful coating designed to make the carb-heavy pellets irresistible to cats. It's like the flavor dust on a potato chip. Your cat isn't necessarily addicted to the nutritional content of the food. They're addicted to the powerful flavor enhancer sprayed on top of it. This can make transitioning a cat from a dry-only diet to a healthier wet food diet incredibly challenging. It's a battle of wills, and as any cat owner knows, that's a battle we rarely win. They'll hold out, meowing pitifully, staring at the wet food as if you've served them poison, until you finally cave and give them their crunchy fix. It's a real and frustrating problem for many owners trying to do the right thing. So, to wrap up the first half of this championship bout, let's look at the scorecard for Team Kibble. In the pros column, we have two heavy hitters, convenience and affordability. It's easy for us, it's light on the wallet, and it allows for a free-feeding lifestyle that some cats and owners prefer. These are not small things. They are major, real-world factors that influence our choices. However, in the cons column, the points are pretty damning. We have the critical issue of chronic dehydration, which puts major stress on the kidneys and urinary tract. We have the high carbohydrate content, which is unnatural for a carnivore and can contribute to obesity and diabetes. We have the myth of dental cleaning, which has been largely debunked. And finally, we have the use of lower quality protein sources and addictive flavour coatings. The picture isn't pretty. While dry food isn't pure evil, an exclusively dry food diet presents some significant health hurdles that are directly at odds with your cat's fundamental biology. The bell rings for the end of round 1. Now let's see what the challenger has to offer. Sound of a bell ringing, music shifts to be slightly more triumphant. And in this corner, the challenger, the moisture messiah, the protein powerhouse, Team Wet Food. The single greatest advantage of wet food is right there in the name. It is wet. Canned, pouched or refrigerated wet food typically contains about 75% to 80% moisture. This is a game changer. It's incredibly close to the moisture content of the natural prey a cat would hunt in the wild. This means that when your cat eats wet food, they are not just eating, they are also hydrating all in one go. This passively keeps them properly hydrated without them ever needing to think about their water bowl. This simple act of feeding a moisture-rich diet is profoundly beneficial for their health. It supports kidney function, helps prevent the formation of urinary crystals and stones by keeping the urine diluted, and generally keeps their entire internal system running smoothly, just as nature intended. For cats who are already dealing with kidney or urinary issues, switching to an all-wet food diet is often the first and most important recommendation a veterinarian will make. It's proactive healthcare in a can. Let's talk about the main event on the menu, protein. When you pop open a can of high-quality wet food, you're often looking at real, identifiable meat. You'll see names like chicken breast, flaked tuna, or sliced turkey high up on the ingredients list. Because wet food doesn't need high levels of starches and carbs to hold it together like Kibble does, there's more room for the good stuff, high-quality, animal-based protein. This is the fuel that an obligate carnivore's body is designed to run on. This protein provides the essential amino acids they need for everything from building strong muscles to maintaining a healthy coat and a robust immune system. The protein in wet food is also generally more easily digestible for cats than the plant-based proteins often found in dry food. This means their bodies can absorb and utilize the nutrients more efficiently, resulting in less digestive upset and, let's be frank, less stinky litter boxes. A win for everyone in the house. Feeding a high-protein, low-carb wet food is like giving your little athlete the premium fuel they need to perform at their best, whether that's chasing a laser pointer or executing a perfect 18-hour nap. If you really want to get inside your cat's head, serving them a bowl of wet food is about as close as you can get to serving them what their wild instincts crave. The texture, the strong meaty aroma, the high moisture content, it all mimics a fresh kill. It's essentially a mouse in a can. This makes it highly palatable for most cats. That strong smell is especially important for older cats, or senior kittizens, whose sense of smell may be declining, which can lead to a decreased appetite. Warmed-up wet food can be an absolute lifesaver for enticing a picky or sick cat to eat. It satisfies them on a primal level. You're not just filling their stomach, you're honouring their inner hunter. This can also be a huge benefit for their mental well-being. A satisfying meal that aligns with their biology can lead to a happier, more content cat. You'll see it in their behaviour, the post-meal grooming, the contented purring, the happy little chirps. You're speaking their language, the universal language of a satisfying, meaty meal. It's a powerful way to bond with your pet and show them you truly understand their needs. Remember how we talked about the free-feeding kibble trap leading to obesity? Well, wet food is a fantastic tool for weight management. At first glance, this seems counterintuitive. Wet food can seem so rich and decadent, but looks can be deceiving. Because so much of its volume is water, wet food is actually much less calorie-dense than dry food. A cup of dry food can have 3 or 4 times the calories of a can of wet food. This means your cat can eat a satisfyingly large meal, feel full and happy, but consume fewer calories overall. This feeling of fullness is key to preventing them from begging for more food an hour later. It's the same principle as humans. Eating a big salad versus a small candy bar. The salad fills you up more with fewer calories. For a cat that needs to lose a few pounds, switching to a portion-controlled wet food diet can be one of the most effective strategies. The high protein content also helps them maintain lean muscle mass while they lose fat, which is crucial for their overall health and metabolism. It helps them trim down without feeling deprived. Okay, it can't all be sunshine and protein-packed rainbows. We have to talk about the big, scary elephant in the room when it comes to wet food, the cost. There is no getting around it. Feeding an exclusively wet food diet is significantly more expensive than feeding dry food. Those little cans and pouches add up fast, especially if you have more than one cat. A single cat can easily go through 2 or more cans a day, and if you're buying the premium, grain-free, free-range, artisanal brands, you might find that your cat is eating better and more expensively than you are. This is a very real barrier for many people. It can be incredibly stressful to feel like you're not providing the best for your pet because you simply can't afford it. The guilt is real, cat parents. The financial commitment is substantial, and it's a long-term one. So while wet food might win on the nutritional scorecard, it can deliver a serious knockout blow to the average person's budget, and that is a major factor in this debate that cannot be ignored. Beyond the cost, there's also the inconvenience factor. Let's be honest, serving wet food is just messier. You've got to open the can, scoop it out, mash it up with a fork, and now you have a designated cat food fork that must never be used by humans, and then wash the bowl immediately after they're done. If you don't, the leftover food dries into a cement-like substance that requires a chisel to remove. And the smell. Oh, the smell. Some of those fish-based flavours can clear a room faster than a smoke alarm. Then there's the issue of storage. You open a can, your cat eats half, and now you have a half-full, smelly can of cat food that needs to be covered and stored in your refrigerator, right next to your own food. It's just not as simple and clean as pouring some kibble. For people with busy schedules, or those who travel and rely on pet sitters or automatic feeders, the logistics of a wet food diet can be a real headache. These daily hassles are a significant reason why many people stick with the simplicity of dry food. So, what about teeth? If we busted the myth that dry food cleans teeth, does that mean wet food makes them dirty? This is a common concern among cat owners. The theory is that the soft texture of wet food does nothing to remove plaque and can even stick to the teeth, leading to faster decay. While it's true that wet food offers no abrasive action, it's not necessarily the villain it's made out to be. The primary cause of dental disease in cats is genetics and the overall health of the cat, not necessarily the texture of their food. More importantly, the high carbohydrate and sugar content in many dry foods can actually be worse for dental health. These substances feed the bad bacteria in the mouth that lead to plaque formation. So a low-carb, high-protein wet food diet may actually create a healthier oral environment than a high-carb dry food. The bottom line is this: no food, wet or dry, is a substitute for proper dental care. The best approach, regardless of diet, is to brush your cat's teeth regularly and schedule professional cleanings with your vet. Don't let the fear of dental issues scare you away from the benefits of wet food. Just when you think you found the perfect, healthiest, most biologically appropriate wet food on the planet, you serve it to your cat and they give you the snub. They sniff it, look at you with deep disappointment, and walk away as if you have personally offended their ancestors. Yes, some cats are just incredibly picky, and for some reason, they can be particularly finicky about wet food. It might be the texture. Some cats love pâté but hate chunks in gravy, or vice versa. It might be the flavour. It might be the temperature. Pro tip: many cats prefer their wet food at room temperature or slightly warmed to mimic body temperature of prey. This can lead to a frustrating and expensive journey of buying dozens of different brands and flavours, only to have your little food critic reject them all. This is often a bigger issue with cats who were raised exclusively on dry food and have become addicted to that crunchy texture and flavour coating. The transition can be a long, slow process of mixing a tiny bit of wet food into their dry food and gradually increasing the amount over weeks or even months. Patience is a virtue, especially when your opponent is a stubborn cat. So after all this back and forth, you might be feeling more confused than ever. Dry food is convenient but dehydrating. Wet food is healthy but expensive and messy. Is there a right answer? Who wins the fight? Well, here's the good news. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing battle. For many cats and their owners, the perfect solution lies somewhere in the middle. A mixed feeding approach can give you the best of both worlds. You could, for example, leave a small amount of high-quality dry food out for grazing during the day and feed dedicated wet food meals in the morning and evening. This ensures they get the massive hydration and high-quality protein benefits from the wet food, while also giving you a bit of the convenience and cost savings of the dry food. This approach can also be great for picky eaters, as it keeps them accustomed to different textures. The key is to make sure the majority of their daily calories are coming from the high-quality, moisture-rich wet food. Think of the dry food as a supplemental snack, not the main course. It's a compromise that can make both your cat and your wallet very happy. So here it is, the ultimate truth about dry food versus wet food. The winner of the great cat food debate is whatever high-quality, nutritionally complete food your cat will actually eat that you can consistently afford with a strong, undeniable preference for wet food whenever possible. There is no single best cat food for every cat. A senior cat with kidney disease has very different needs than a growing kitten. A cat with a sensitive stomach might do better on a specific formula. The most important factors are high animal protein, low carbohydrates, and, above all, high moisture content. If you can only feed dry food due to your budget, that is okay. You are a great cat parent. Just do everything you can to encourage hydration. Use multiple water bowls, try a cat water fountain, or even add a little water or low-sodium bone broth to their kibble to make a gravy. If you can afford to feed an all-wet food diet, that is fantastic. If a mixed approach works best for you, that's a wonderful compromise. Don't let the quest for perfect stop you from doing good. The goal is a healthy, happy cat, and there are many paths to get there. Gentle, heartwarming music fades in. So there you have it. The epic clash of kibble and cans is over. Now you know the truth that lurks inside your cat's food bowl. It's not about brand loyalty or fancy marketing. It's about understanding that tiny desert hunter living on your couch and giving them what their bodies truly need, water and meat. Whatever you choose to feed them, you're now armed with the knowledge to make the best possible choice for your furry family member. And remember, at the end of the day, whether they're crunching on kibble or slurping up pâté, the most important ingredient you can ever give them is your love, your patience, and a good, sturdy box to sit in. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. If this video helped you solve the food puzzle, please give it a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next dive into the feline mind. And be sure to share this with any fellow cat parent who's still lost in the pet food aisle. Now for my final question, what is the absolute weirdest human food your cat is obsessed with? My little guy goes crazy for olives. Let me know your cat's weird cravings in the comments below. Stay curious and give your cat a cuddle from me.